Hello, good morning, everybody. We will be starting 5 minutes from now. If you face any difficulty in sound or you are not able to hear us, please drop down message on the chat box. We will be eager to help you out. Request you to just keep joining us. We will be starting 5 minutes from now. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hope you are in great spirit. First of all, I would like to thank you for taking out your time from your busy schedule and joining with us in webinar on how to set up activities on Dynamic 365 Business Central. So before we start with webinar, I would like to state that we will be taking question and answer session at the end of the webinar. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can drop down a message on the chat box. We will be eager to help you out. And if you face any difficulty in sound or any other communication issues, please drop down message in the chat box. We will try to solve it as soon as possible. So now let us start with the webinar. I am accompanied with Rahul, with Daksh with me, who will be handling and presenting about how to set up activities on T365 Business Central. So before handing over to Daksh, I would like to introduce about myself. My name is Santosh Sharma and I work as an entrepreneur in Outsourcing Pandit. Basically, Outsourcing Pandit is a Microsoft partner centric company, and we are an offsite staff augmentation for Microsoft portfolios. Our portfolio consists of Microsoft D365 BC resources, Microsoft D365 FO, and Microsoft D365 CRM resources. So basically, we have made up an whole portal wherein you can log in into Outsourcing Pandit portal and view resources as per your skill set required, wherein you can log in into the system, view the resources as per different skill set, and we augment them for your project as per your durations, and also schedule interview from the portal itself. We augment resources as per their expertise and customer requirement. So the D365 BCFO and CRM resources have capability also to integrate with Power BI, Powerflow, and machine integrations and various Microsoft applications. So if you are interested in knowing more about Outsourcing Pandit portal, you can drop down a message on the chat box. We will connect you and showcase our portal. So now I am handing over to Daksh, who will be carrying forward the further presentation.
Hello each and every one of you on the other side. I am Daksh Trivedi, your presenter for today. I am an application developer for NAV and D365 Business Central. So let's get on board with our topic, activities. What are activities in Dynamics 365 Business Central? To define it simply, activities are the tactics that salespeople use to achieve their goals and objectives. Also, activities are nothing but the conditions in which things are happening or are being done. In Dynamics 365 Business Central, activities are large tasks that may consist of several smaller tasks, which we call them as to-dos. Also, in Dynamics 365 Business Central, you can create activities to remind you of the work which is supposed to be done. An activity on Dynamics 365 Business Central can be as simple as organizing a meeting, or maybe sending an email, making up a phone call. Also, setting up an appointment can be an activity, taking notes, and so on and so forth. Activities in Dynamics 365 Business Central can be associated with, you can associate it with contacts, maybe campaigns, also salespersons and teams as a whole. Also, in Dynamics 365 Business Central, activities can be assigned into sales cycle stages. We'll look into it when we do our practical session of Dynamics 365 Business Central. We need to remember some things, that when we create a new activity or a set of activities, we can assign that activity to either an individual salesperson, or we can assign that activity to whole as a team. Also, that activity can be associated to a specific contact or a campaign. When we have a look at activities, we'll come to know that there are certain types of activities. The two types of activities available in Dynamics 365 Business Central are phone and meeting. So you must always select the appropriate type of activity when you are defining them. Also, these activities have certain priorities which need to be set. So either you can set the low priority, high priority, or the medium priority activities. Activities have a date formula, or kind of a due date calculation, in through which you can specify the due date which is supposed to be calculated. Moving ahead, so the very next question that comes in our mind is, what are the advantages of using activities and what do they offer us? Activities, activities in the business streamline your processes. They increase the efficiency of your team. Also, you can track the activities and tasks on daily basis. As I had mentioned in my earlier slide, you can specify due dates to activities so that it is easy for you to track them. In Dynamics 365 Business Central, there is a feature where you can identify the cost of an activity, which we will be looking at when we perform the practical. So the main question comes here is how to add activities into Dynamics 365 Business Central. But before that, let us have a look at some quick tips. So these are the best practices that we can follow to make our activities as meaningful as possible. Firstly, you must make sure that your activities are self-defined. Also, as I had previously mentioned, there are activity types that you need to mention when you define activities. So you must always use the right activity type such that the task is always clear. Also, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central allows you to assign due dates or date formulas to activities. So you must make sure that the due dates are aligned properly. Apart from assigning activities to salespersons, you can also assign a whole activity to a team as well. You can add activities for yourself as well, such that you can track your own tasks. So now we will be looking at a practical demonstration of how to achieve what we have discussed. So the aim or the purpose of our demonstration is specified here. So what we will be doing is we will be creating activities in Dynamics 365 Business Central. We will be attaching them to sales cycle stages, and also we will be completing these activities on opportunities. So this is a small flow of what we are going to do in Dynamics 365 Business Central. If you can see my screen, the very first thing which we are going to do is create activities and assign to-dos to activities, which are called as tasks. After creating activities, we will assign these activities to sales cycle stages. After assigning them to sales cycle stages, we can complete these activities from sales cycle stages itself, and then we can create opportunities pertaining to the sales cycle. This is the very first demonstration which we are going to conduct. The second example we are going to take is how to create campaigns in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, and how to assign activities to the campaign. But these activities in campaigns won't be assigned to a single person, but they will be assigned to complete teams. So without any further ado, let's get moving and see what we can do in Dynamics 365 Business Central. So if you can all see my screen, I am on the web client version of Business Central. So this is my dashboard in which I will be navigating you to how to create certain things. So very first thing we do, so let me specify what I'm going to do. So I need to create activities and eventually opportunities that result in Dynamics 365 Business Central sales. So all I need to do is I need to go on the navigation pane, just write activities, and use activities, just click activities, and the list page opens. So I have to define two activities which will summarize whole of my selling process of Dynamics 365 Business Central. So what I'll do is I'll click on new, and then a card page opens, as you can see on the screen. The very first thing is I have to specify a code. So I'll write it is analysis, and I'll say this is the initial analysis. After doing this, if you see on the lines part, this is where we can define our to-dos. So basically this is a activity. Our activity has an header and it has tasks which are needed to be complete in order to complete this whole activity as a whole. So as I had mentioned in my presentation, that there are certain types of activities that should be properly aligned. So what I'll do is, if you see, the type is meeting and phone call. So you can select if this particular activity is a meeting or is a phone call. But if it is neither of these, you can just select blank and just let it go. So what I'll do is I'll say the very first task of my is I need to identify the key person through a meeting. For this, I will set the priority as probably normal as of now, and there is no due date in identifying the key person. So the very next task for my this activity to get completed is the initial meeting which I'll be having after identifying the key person. So I'll write the next task for me is initial meeting. For initial meeting, I'll give myself a priority of normal and I'll assign the due date as probably 3 days. And then the last task which I need to add in this particular activity is a meeting which will be comprising of understanding requirements. So understanding requirements from the customer are from the top on the top priority for me. So I'll select high, and then I say I have 2 weeks time to understand the customer requirements. So that's it. This is how you define the header or the name of the activities, and these are the tasks which are needed to complete in order to complete this activity as a whole. So I just click back and it navigates me to the text to the list page again. So this is the activity which I just created, if you can see on the last. Now I need to do is I create another activity. So the another activity, I'll name the another activity as quoting. So I'll name it as quote creation. This activity will involve my quote creation and quote proposal tasks. So what I need to do is what I'll do in quoting process is I'll hold up an internal meeting with my technical team. Internal meeting with technical team. I will rate this as a high priority task. And I'll say I just need a week to do this. So I'll assign a date formula of 1 week. And then the next thing which I need to do is I need to draw the timeline. So I'll say via neither a meeting nor a phone call, just leave it blank. I'll prepare a timeline which is needed for the project. So I'll say preparing the timeline will be a higher priority task for me. And I'll say for preparing the timeline, I need approximately 4 days. So that's it. This is the tasks which we need to perform in order to complete this activity. So we have defined a code creation activity in which I have defined two separate tasks which need to get completed. So this was as simple as I shown on my screen. I'll just click back And you see these are the two activities which I have just created. First one is the analysis phase, and the second one is the coding or code creation process. Now, after creating activities and after defining what to do in these activities, the very next stage for me will be to define these activities or attach these activities into my sales cycle stages. So I'll just navigate to sales cycles. I just click on the sales cycle list page. You see there is a list opening. I'll say I want to create a new sales cycle. So I'll say new and I'll write business central and I'll say selling business central. So after this, I just go to process, go to stages. So this is where we need to define the activities which we had just created. So a sales cycle consists of various activities that need to be performed. So what I'll do is I'll just name one and I'll say this is my analysis phase. So here is the main thing where we attach our activities. So this is the activity which we had created of analysis. So I'll just assign this as analysis. So the very first stage in a sales cycle is analysis. And then I'll say I need to also specify the second thing, which is the quoting process. So I'll say this is the quoting process. For quoting process, I need certain activities to be done. So these activities I have defined in the quoting activity, if you can see on my screen. I just click this and it populates on the activity code. So what I have done now basically is I have attached these activities to sales cycle and got them working. Now, after creating sales cycle, this is the sales cycle which I have created coded as BC, and the description is selling business central. Now I need to do is I need to attach these sales cycle into opportunity just to make sure that these opportunity are converted into quotes. So I navigate to opportunities, the very first option on Business Central. So the opportunity list page opens. Now I need to do is I need to click on new. I need to specify the description, and the description for this opportunity is selling Dynamics 365 Business Central. So basically, if I'm making an opportunity, it would be targeted to a particular contact. So I'll say this particular contact who is targeted to this particular opportunity is A Gibson's Law Firm. I'll select on Gibson's Law Firm, press OK, and then it auto populates here. Then I will specify the salesperson who will be responsible for this activity. So I'll say Annette Hill will be the person responsible for this activity. And then there's a field called as sales cycle code, which is very important because we had just created a sales cycle. So I'll say this is the very first sales cycle I had created. If you want to view the full list, you can click this select from full list option. I'll select BC and then I'll let it go. So this is my opportunity which I have just created. If you can see the lines part of this page, it shows me that I have to specify the sales cycle stages here. So the sales cycle stages are not entered manually. To activate the sales cycle stages, all you need to do is go to process, then navigate to activate first stage, if you can see on my screen, and then I click this, then it asks me that if I want to activate the very first stage of this opportunity, I say yes, I do. Then I press yes, and on the line part, you see the very first stage has been activated, which is the analysis phase, which I had just defined in my sales cycle. So this is how you can define the opportunity, activate the sales cycle stages, and keep completing the tasks. Talking about tasks, the very next question that comes into our mind is how we can access the task related to this opportunity. Now what I will do is I will click on navigate. I'll go to opportunity. There would be a drop down opened, and then I click task. So these are the particular tasks which were defined in my activity, which I had linked to sales cycle, and that sales cycle was linked to this opportunity. So this is how we establish a link between these three entities. So what I now need to do is I'll just, for example, the identification of my key person has been completed. So I just go to edit and then I say, okay, this is the task. Now what I need to do is this task has been done by me. So I'll say, okay, this task has been completed. So I'll select the status as completed. And then the system asks me that if I want to create an interaction log entry. So basically what interaction log entries is for example, if you want to register your history of what you had done to attain this opportunity, is Microsoft Business Central allows you this feature so that you can record your historical data for your own reference. So I'll say yes, I want to attach an interaction log entry. So I'll say okay, I for this interaction was recorded for A. Gibson's law firm, and I say okay, the interaction template code for this was meeting invitation. And then if you scroll down, there is a tab called as interaction details, and the details we fill in the interaction details is evaluation. So I need to register what evaluation I got from the customer. So I'll say okay, I got a very positive evaluation, and then I say, and as I had mentioned in my slide that you can always attach costs to which you have incurred in attaining this activity. So I say it was a $10 task for me to make sure this task has been completed. So I'll enter cost local currency as 10, if you can see on my screen. Then I press OK. Then the interaction log entry has been created. The identification of the key person task has been completed and it is set to closed. So this is how you can complete rest of the task, or you can update the status of the task in the same manner. So this was the very first phase in which we learn how to create activities, how to assign these activities to sales cycle stages, and eventually assign opportunities into sales cycle stages and complete our task. After this thing, we move on to our next topic, that is campaigning and how to perform campaigning in Dynamics 365 Business Central. So now what I'll do is create, I'll just go here. I'll say, okay, I need to create some campaign. So I'll go to campaigns. I click on campaigns. Then there's a list of campaign which is getting opened here. Now I click on new. So a card page opens which allows me to enter my campaign details. Now I need to press enter so that it auto populates the number, and then I can just write it is a campaign for a demonstration, and the starting date for this campaign is from tomorrow, that is the 15th of May 2019, and then the ending of this campaign is scheduled approximately after a week, which is Tuesday the 21st. And then I say the salesperson responsible for this is Annette Hill. I select Annette Hill, and that's it. Then we are good to go. Now what all I need to do is assign this campaign as a whole to a team and not to a salesperson alone. So for doing that, what I'll do is I'll just go to navigate, campaign, and tasks. In the task, you see there is as of no task, so I need to assign tasks to my team. So what do I do that in that case? So what I'll do is I'll click functions, and I'll say I need to assign activities to this particular task, to this particular campaign. So all I now need to do is assign some activity codes. Okay, I say this is a workshop, so I say I need to click workshop, and the start date of this activity is from tomorrow maybe, so I'll select 15th. Instead of specifying the salesperson code, now what I need to do is I need to assign this activity to a team. So the team which I'm going to assign this activity, I have named it as D365BC. If you can see on my screen, my mouse pointer, I'll just select teams. So if you keep the salesperson code blank and you assign the team code, so this activities will be assigned to a team as a whole. So I say okay, so this is the assignment of activities. Now I press OK. After pressing OK, these are the activities which get populated on my screen, which tell me that to complete this campaign, the particular D365BC team has to complete all these activities. So the next question arises to how to complete and how to set the status of these activities. The setting of the status of these activities is same as like we did on opportunity. I just need to click these three dots. I need to edit, and after editing there is a task card which is opened. Here I can enter my details. I can enter the contact number with whom I had this interaction with, or with whom I had completed this task with. Then this says that the team code for this task is D365BC, and this task was completed by which salesperson I need to select. And then I just select my status, completed, waiting, and so on. And the system again asks me if I want to interact, if I want to enter log entries. That is up to my discretion if I want to do that or not. So this is how you create campaigns. This is how you assign tasks to campaigns, and those tasks are assigned to teams as a whole. So this is how campaigns, activities, and opportunities are created in Dynamics 365 Business Central. So this is how we do it. And I guess this is the end of our webinar. So if there are any questions, we are open to questions. Kindly write it on the chat box and we'll be answering that. Also, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to reach us out at the email ID mentioned on the screen.
Okay, so now we are open up for the question answer session. Please drop down your questions in the chat box. You can drop down questions in the chat box if you ever. You can also drop us mail at reach@outsourcingpandit.com. If you also want to know about Outsourcing Pandit, please drop a mail. We will be eager to help you out and showcase our portal. You can also write if you're interested to know about the portal in the chat box. So we will contact you and then we can schedule up the demo of the portal also. And if you want to know more about this functionality, we will be sure ready to help you out. We will be also uploading this video on the YouTube, so we will be providing you link. So for future references, you can view the video. Okay, so we would like to thank you for attending the webinar. We will be further conducting other webinar series also. So request you to join. We are actively present on the social media page of Outsourcing Pandit on LinkedIn and Twitter. From where also you can know about our webinar series, the further webinar which we will be going to do. You can also follow us on the social media for further updates. Looking forward to meet you in the second webinar. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.